Okay, so I'm going through the solutions to the practice test that was handed out in class, and we did cover some of the questions and talk about the language. Now I'm just going to show you how to do the solutions. So I insisted that you show working out even for the multiple choice, just so that you were actually showing how to do it as opposed to guessing. I've also highlighted keywords throughout that tell us what we should be doing. So we've got the first one, find Q, when you've got this equation. So what I would do, just to make sure that I'm doing it correctly, is I would write it out again and show the steps that I would need to do in order to solve it. So the first step I needed to do was subtract 3, which leaves me with C being my only option. The next one says that you've got 32 students, which means that overall there's got to be 32 students. We've got 6 more girls than boys. That tells us this more than means plus. So we are plussing 6, and boys is equal to X. So we could write it out as boys equal X, girls equal X plus 6. And then the equation for the total number would be boys plus girls equals 32, X plus 6, 2X plus 6 equals 32. So remember to simplify your answers. If they're the same, then you've got to do it. The reason I've highlighted the word distance here is because that will give you the clue as to what formula we need to use. So D equals x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. And again, we're doing this throughout. Whatever points you choose, it doesn't matter. The square is going to take care of any negative numbers. So x1, y1, x2, y2. The issue we're going to have here, and this is the common mistake, is that people confuse them. So obviously we just start substituting in. So x1 is 4, x2 is 5, put it in brackets, square it, y1 is 2, y2 is 4, square it, so we end up with negative 1 squared plus negative 2 squared, which gives us 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Square root of 5 is our answer. So C. Oh, C is our previous answer as well, so 3 C's there. Complete the value needed to complete the table. So what we're going to be doing, this means complete means substitute. So we're going to substitute C equals 1 into D equals 4C plus 6. So D equals 4 bracket 1 D equals 10. Gradient, again, telling you which equation to use. Write out your equation. Label your points x1, y1, x2, y2. Substitute. So 15 minus 6 over 6 minus 3. Now, the most common mistake is that you will confuse these ones, or you'll put these 2 points on the same line. Make sure the coordinates are above one another. So x on the bottom, y on the top, and they match up. So 6 and 15, 6 and 15, 3 and 6, 3 and 6. The gradient is equal to 3. You need to do question 6. Point lies on. So what this is asking us to do is prove which point is on the line. What that means is we need to put both the x value and the y value into the equation and have both sides equal. So for this one here, y equals 7 when x equals 1. Let's see if that is a true statement. Not a true statement, so A is not the possible choice. B, y equals negative 4 when x equals 2. Put it into the equation and solve. B is your correct answer. So question 8 had you looking at this graph and having to find what the equations were. Some hints are to remember that in order for it to be sloped, you have to have a pronumeral on either side. If the line is horizontal, it's going to be y equals, because x changes, y does not. If it's vertical, x stays the same or y changes. So we're going to have x equals -5. And we've got this one and this one as being an option. Y is +6, so C is our correct answer. Right, next one. Solve is the key word. So what you have to do is take this equation, work out what x is, and then in order to get full marks you have to substitute and check your answer. So there are two ways that you can do this. You can just divide both sides by 3 this way. Subtract 1. Divide by 3. And therefore x equals 1. Then you're going to take that value and put it back into the equation to see if it's correct, and we'll do that in just a minute. The other way of solving it was to expand the brackets, then solve. So expanding, practicing our skills from last topic, we end up with 9x plus 3 equals 12. Subtract 3 from both sides. Divide both sides by 9. X equals 1. Same answer. Now we're going to substitute back into the equation. So 3 bracket 3 times 1 plus 1 equals 12. Solve what's inside. So we have 3 plus 1 equals 12. 3, 4 equals 12. 12 equals 12. Full answers, you needed to have that check step as well. Right, let D equals Daniel's age. So I would put Daniel's age as a starting point, equals D. Jillian's age is 3 times. 3 times means we're multiplying. So Jillian is 3 times as old as Daniel, so 3D. The sum of their ages is 36. So we're going to have Daniel's plus Jillian's equals 36. So we substitute those in. We end up with D plus 3D equals 36. So simplify, 4D equals 36. Divide both sides by 4. Daniel's age is 9, but in order to finish this completely, you need to actually find both Daniel and Jillian. So Daniel's age is 9 years, while Jillian's is 27. So 3 times 9 is 27. In order to get full points, you must have that in there. Again, I've highlighted the word midpoint. That's because we need to know which equation to use. So the equation we're going to use is x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. x1, y1, x2, y2, substitute in. So 3 plus 7 over 2, comma 7 plus 13 over 2, 10 over 2, 20 over 2, gives you the points 5, 10, and your answer is 5, 10. Right, so use the equation given here to complete the table. Complete means substitute, and in order to get full marks for this question, you need to show you're working out. So m equals -2, 0 plus 6. M equals 6, fill it in. M equals -2 times 1 plus 6 equals -2 plus 6 equals 4. m equals -2 times 2 plus 6, -4 plus 6 equals 2. M equals -2 times 3 plus 6 equals -6 plus 6 equals 0. Then the next step of it is to use these points here to plot. So our starting point, when n is equal to 0, m is equal to 6, 4, 2, 0, and use a ruler to join them up. You will need a ruler for this test. Gradient again tells us what equation to use. We are going to use m equals x2 minus y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we've got one point here as being -2, -4. We've got another point here as being 1 and 2. I'm going to make this point 1, point 2. Substitute the values in. So y2 is equal to 2. y1 is equal to -4. x2 is equal to 1. x2 is equal to -2. Positive, positive. 2 plus 4 over 1 plus 2, 6 over 3. Our gradient is 2. M equals, or gradient equals 2. If you are still struggling to do this, it is substitution. You really need to use this method in order to get full marks, but you could do rise over run by just counting. So how many do I go across? 1. I go 1, 2, 3. So my run is 3. My rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So rise equals 6. Run equals 3. Your gradient equals 2. That will get you part marks, but not all of them for Year 9. Right. For the next question, 14, in order to get full marks, or to get any marks in all honesty, you have got to use this method to sketch this. So sketch just means we only put 2 points in. Okay. What I would be doing to show my working out is I would rewrite the equation. I would identify that as being my y-intercept. What does that actually mean? It means that I have the coordinate 0, 6 that I can put on the graph here. Alright, so that's my first point. Sorry, -6. Okay, then I would be showing that this is my gradient, so gradient equals 2. And remembering that that means that there's a little 1 over there, so for every 2 that we go up, because it's positive, we're going up 2 and across 1, and that's our second point. Put in your coordinates in order to get full marks. Join them with a line using a ruler preferably. Again, in order to get full marks for this, you have to use the XY method. So what that means is you must substitute x equals 0 to find the y. So let x equals 0, substitute that into your equation, cancels out that term, so you end up with 2y equals 12, divide both sides by 2, so your coordinate is 0, 6, and you can put that in. For your next one, to find your your x coordinate, you're going to let y equals 0, again because they are on the axes, and substitute it into the equation. So 6x plus 2 bracket 0 equals 12. That leaves us with 6x equals 12. Divide both sides by 6. X equals 2. Your point is 2, 0. Put it on your graph, use a ruler, and line it up. Now, this one here we're sketching, so we don't need any more than 1 point. Realistically, we don't need any of that at all. It doesn't matter what x is because there is no x. So it's going to be a horizontal line at y equals 4. Okay. First extended answer. So it's applying our rules. It's no longer talking about x and y. It's talking about variables in real time or real examples. So Narada starts at home at point A, which is going to be 0, 0. She's starting at home. That is her starting point. It is 0, 0. They call it the origin. That just means 0, 0. She rides at a constant speed. That means it's going to be a straight line without any wiggles for 3 minutes and covers a distance of 1200 meters. So that is your second point. You draw the line with a ruler. Okay, so that is representing the data on a time distance graph. The next one, calculate the gradient. Again, in order to get full marks, you must use the equation to do this. Oh, and to get full marks on this one, you needed to put in the coordinates as well. So, point 2, point 1, substitute in y2 equals 1200, y1 equals 0, x2 equals 3, x1 equals 0. And then I end up with 400. Okay, so my gradient is 400. You could make sure your answer is very clear by saying it like that. The next one, you need to write the equation. The word equation is giving you the hint that it's going to need to be in this form. Okay, what is our y-intercept? Looking at our graph, our y-intercept is 0. What is our gradient? Previous answer, 400. Write it out. What is y? Distance travelled is d. What is x? T. So d equals 400, t plus 0, get rid of that. Your equation is distance equals 400 times time. Use your equation. Now, if you got your equation wrong here but used it correctly here, it's showing you're working out, you will get part marks. First thing we need to know is that distance here is in meters and in minutes. So in kilometers, we need to convert. Equals 10,000 meters. So let d equal 10,000. Substitute it into your equation. Because we're trying to find how long, time. Okay, divide both sides by 400. Therefore, t equals 10,000 over 4,000. We can cancel out our zeros, so we end up with 100 divided by 4, which gives us 25 meters per minute, or 25 minutes. Again, make sure your answer is clear. You don't need to annotate, you just need to know what these words mean. So I've put extra information in, but you don't need to do that. And then complete the table again using your equation. So when t equals 0, distance equals 0, which we know. When t equals 1 times 400, 400. T equals 2 minutes, 800. 3 minutes, 1200, we know. 1600, 2000. Last page. Quadrilateral means it's going to have 4 sides, so they should match up. If they don't match up, then you've done something wrong. A is 1, 2. B is 6, 2. C is 9, 6. And D is 4. Okay, so we have point D at 4, 6. Because they are, or it is a quadrilateral, we have to join them to make a four-sided shape like that. So we're now going to work with this. So plot the points, we've done that. Use a ruler to join the points. You will use a ruler, I haven't. We formed a quadrilateral. Right, use the distance formula. So D equals x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared for A and D. So A and D are these lines here. So our points are, and I would just write them out again so that they're very clear what we're using. So point 1, point 2, doesn't matter which way you do it, but just make sure you're clear. So x1 is equal to 1, x2 is equal to 4, plus y1 is 2, y2 is 6. So 1 take away 4 is 3, so negative 3 squared plus 2 take away 6 is negative 4 squared. We end up with negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. Square root of 25, which gives you 5. And you don't need to put any units in, or you can just use the word units because we've not been given any units to work with. Find the equation for the side CD. So the side CD is here. It is a horizontal line, so y equals, or a CD equals 6. Really, it's just y equals 6 is for that equation. And the last one, use a ruler to form a diagonal and find the midpoint. Draw the diagonal, use the midpoint formula. So midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2 gives us, so we substitute our values in, and again I would do what we did up here and rewrite the points. So A is 1, 2, C is 9, 6, substitute x1, x2, y1, y2, 10 over 2, 8 over 2, 5, 4. And we can kind of double check that we're right in that. We can go, that appears to be the middle, 5, 4.